Hello learners, I am Dr. Meghna working as assistant professor, and today we will be learning about the chapter safety in the home. In this chapter you learn about that different family members are living and safety is very important for each family member. So children, they might be playing in the house, they might fall, or somebody is getting a cut, or somebody is facing a medical emergency. So we learn about how to maintain a good safety in a house. Now what are the objectives which we are going to learn in this lesson? First is to assess the need for ensuring safety at home, evaluating your home for unsafe zones. In every home there might be unsafe zones like a rooftop without a grill or a window which is unsafe. So we need to focus on that. Another objective is adopt safety measures for a safe home, to suggest first aid measures for accidents, to recognize the importance of tying bandages when somebody is hurt. Now we might face accidents in the home. Certain common accidents which people might face in the home. First is the burns and the scars. While somebody is working in the kitchen or somebody is doing some school experiment with a candle, they might get burned. So that is a burnt. Burnt is mostly caused by a dry heat, and scars is also another form of burning, but it is done through a wet heat. Maybe a liquid which is hot is spilled on my hand, a hot water or a vegetable curry, then that is called a scald. Another kind of an accident which somebody might face in home is falls, by tripping down, by falling from the roof or through a slippery floor, or maybe the floor is very congested, or somebody is not focusing on one thing and there is no proper area or a proper position to hold, maybe in a bathroom, then people might fall. In the family there are youngsters, there are toddlers, there might be elderly people. So it is very important to have a secure home so that at least nobody get injured because of a falling. Then going on to the cuts, while working in kitchen, while working on some stitching with the scissor, we might face certain cuts and it might start bleeding. So we really need to be take care of that. And another accident which is very common and very dangerous is poisoning. Poisoning, children might eat kind of a cosmetic or a poison which is kept for pesticides, insecticides, thinking it to be a eatable material. So that gets very risky, and that is another common accident which occurs in homes. Electrocution is another category of common accident, and electrocution, in this, getting a shock through electricity, maybe the wires are unwired and not properly covered and the switches are open. So in that case a person might face electrocution, which is very risky and very fatal for one's life. So needs to be taken care of. Another common accident which can happen is choking, suffocation. In this, lot of, a child may have eaten something, swallowed some smaller part of a toy or something which adult has kept for himself, then his throat might get choked and he might suffocate himself. Or people are sleeping and they are not aware that the heater is burning inside the room and they have all closed the doors and windows. In that case they might face the suffocation and die. So these are very common accidents and very dangerous. So we really need to take care of these accidents. You can see from the picture, maybe there is certain acid is kept, so for floor cleaning. So it might, a child might come near it and might burn himself. High voltage problem is there. Some sockets have high voltage, so the warning signs, danger signs should be mentioned so that people are cautious and they don't go near a high voltage zone. They don't touch the acid bottle, and certain measures like safety, caution, notice is written so that members' attention goes towards those notices at home too. We have always seen that these notices are there in offices, in public places, where we can always keep that in the home also. Falls. Now watch your step. When you are falling, you need to watch your step, because you just can't say ki something was kept here so I fall, this railing was not there so I fall, this grill was improper so I fall. You have to be really cautious. So what are the steps? You have to wipe up the swivel. Something is fallen on the floor, you need to clean that. Stairs should be well lit. Keep stairs clear without any objects, so that one doesn't topple down, because there should not be any obstruction on stairs. Avoid cluttered floors. Sometimes floors are too many things are kept on floors and it gets very cluttered, so one tends to fall. In bathrooms there need to be hand grips, so that when one is working in a bathroom, doing something in a bathroom, one doesn't fall, because there is a lot of chances of falling in a bathroom because of the water supply. Then use proper steps while reaching high shelves. Suppose when you have to take something from a higher shelf, then you need to stand on something, so really need to be well supported. Then safety gates on stair for small children. On a stairs there has to be a side railing, so that a child while walking or an elderly while walking can take support of that railing and does not fall. We are getting injured because of the cuts. Now what are the different causes of getting cuts? A scissor might be a reason, a sharp knife might be a reason, a broken glass might be a reason, a sharp blade and pointed furniture, the corners, the joineries, maybe the nails coming out. Because of all these and other factors, one might get cut. Now going to the burns and scars. A burn is an injury caused by exposure to heat or flame. Some examples of common burn accidents are, very common examples: hot tea gets spilled on someone while somebody is drinking. It is very common, we all must have faced such a situation. Hot oil splashes while frying, which is very painful. Cloth used to remove utensils from stove catches fire, so it needs to be taken care of. Child plays with a matchbox, and he should not be allowed to play with a matchbox, but if he is playing he might get a burn. Kerosene oil being filed while the oil stove is lit, so it might be very risky. Cooking oil kept near the gas stove might catch a fire and it might give us burns. Inflammable liquids like acids, chemicals carelessly stored are very risky and we might burn ourselves. Lighted cigarettes and hot ashes thrown carelessly on the garbage might lit the fire, so it has to be taken care of. Worn out wires that may lead to short circuit and overheating. So the wires, the electricity supply in the house needs to be taken care of. We should not leave any wires uncovered, and we should check if there is a short circuit. We should check and get it corrected immediately. Two or more appliances used in one socket. Suppose there is a socket, you have applied ironing plug also and a TV plug also. Too much of overloading on one plug and a socket is going to get fire at times. And open lamps or burning candles kept near the window curtains might catch fire and the people might get burned, so it has to be taken care of. Cooking gas cylinder leaks, so one needs to check the cooking gas cylinder is proper, and these days we have cooking gas through pipes also, so for that leakage also we need to check. Now another common accident which we discussed earlier also, it's about preventing poisoning at home. What are the steps we need to take care of? We need to label all medicines or bottles of the chemicals, maybe of our cosmetics, of pesticides, insecticides. We need to label them so that people know this is of different purpose and not to be eaten away. Then we need to read all the labels carefully so that you know what you are consuming. Keep chemicals preferably in the containers labeled originally. Chemical or that liquid should be kept in that bottle only. Once that bottle is finished, we should not refill it with something else, maybe a hand wash or some other shampoo. Please don't do that. Then do not store them with food items or in food containers of maybe cosmetics, of insecticides, pesticides, because it gets risky for our health. Now keep chemicals locked away from kitchen and out of children reach. The chemicals should be locked, it should not be accessible and within their reach. And before consuming, wash all fruits and vegetables thoroughly, because they also are given treatments while they are being grown, so we need to wash them carefully. Then check the expiry date and discard all the expired medicines. If the date has expired, you should throw that thing immediately. Now, through bee and wasp sting also we are getting accidents. So, the stings of bees, when a honey bee and wasps, can cause a lot of pain and swelling. In extreme cases, the victim may even suffer from shock, and this might be painful, and when it gets too serious, patient might be have to taken to a hospital. A person might be bit by a dog and a monkey, and it has to be given first aid immediately. Maybe you can wash the wound immediately, and then doctor can be called or the patient can be taken to the hospital. And if it's not treated properly with proper injections, then one suffers from rabies, and so it's a very important aspect and it should not be ignored. Snake bite is also very fatal. You are bitten by a snake, and since snakes are poisonous, so one has to be given that treatment immediately, and therefore it is advisable to consult a doctor as soon as possible. Now, another cause of an accident is suffocation and choking. To prevent accidents related to choking and suffocation among children, following points must be kept in mind. Adult supervision is a must. In a family where you have smaller children, toddlers or preschoolers, please don't leave them alone at home. Adult supervision is needed. Then toys with small parts should not be given to young children. Children will always play with toys. You can't avoid them, you will not put them in a situation, will say, okay, you will not be given toys because it is very dangerous for your life. They will be playing with the toys, but you have to be cautious that they are not ingesting the smaller parts, because children have a habit of putting everything in their mouth. Now, buy toys which do not have very small detachable parts. The same reason, they might gulp it down and might choke their throat, and in certain cases children have in a very emergency situation because of choking and because of suffocation. And keep polythene bags out of reach of children, because they have a habit of the children are very inquisitive. They have a habit of inquiring what this thing is all about, how this thing will be used. So they might suffocate their head in a poly bag and or maybe in a bucket. So we need to really take care of these things. Now, how to handle the broken glass? Through broken glasses, when the glass in which we are drinking water drops down, or a water bottle drops down, or any material which is made up of glass is broken, maybe a center table with a glass in a drawing room. So, we really need to be cautious. What we need to do is, we just can't start picking the glasses with our hands and all. We have to be cautious, because while picking up the glasses, we might get cuts, and at times they might protrude in our skin, and it might create lot of injury. So, we need to pick up all large pieces carefully and dispose them. First of all, when something like glass breaks down, there are smaller pieces also, some powdered glasses and a bigger pieces. You need to collect the bigger pieces first, then pick the broken glass pieces by using wet mop, cotton, sticking tape or plasticine, because as these things will be wet and sticky, so the powdered glasses which are also broken along with the glass will be attracted towards those things, and it will be not left on the floor. Now, another method which can be used to collect the glass pieces, as the glass pieces will stick to it, and broken glass pieces should be wrapped in several layers of newspapers. Broken glass pieces should be wrapped in several layers of newspaper and put them in a bag before being thrown in a bin, because at times we have a habit of, we have picked up a glass which is broken and we throw in the dustbin or maybe outside directly on the road, which is very risky for not only our family members, for outsiders, those who are traveling, or a maid who is coming and working in a house. So we really need to be cautious. Whatever has been broken, especially a glass material, needs to be wrapped, covered and then thrown, so that it is safe for others too. Now, bleeding is another cause of accident in home. Press the bleeding part with sterile gauze for 20 minutes. What happens when we start bleeding? So, we have to press the part tightly, so that blood stops coming out and it is little in control. There are cuts which are major. In that case, it might not be easy to do it. So, we have to need a sterilized gauze, so that sterilized gauze will prevent us from infection. That is why it is very important कि we should not take anything, any cotton locally material to cover the wound. We should have a sterilized gauze with us. Then use ice bag when bleeding does not stop, because it is going to control, and wash the spot with antiseptic and tie bandage tightly when blood flows in jerks. When the blood is flowing, we need to tie bandage also, so that something is in control. In case of bleeding continues, raise the bleeding part to slow down. Suppose this hand is bleeding, so I can, you can raise this hand so that the blood flow is little restricted, and you can tie the bandage on the side which is away from the heart. The side is near to the heart and this side is away from the heart. So, you can tie the bandage here so that the control of blood is there. Now, for deep cuts with rough iron pieces, immediately take the victim to a hospital. Like somebody has got injured with a playground equipment or with a nail. So, they are rusted iron material. That is why it is very important that you get a tetanus shot in the form of an injection, so that you do not suffer from any disease later on. So, tetanus shots may have to be given. First aid is a powerful life saving technique which is given instantly to the victim for any injury before the professional medical treatment. So, whatever injuries are happening, we need to give first aid. So, the first aid is actually what? It is when somebody is injured, the first treatment that has been given, that is called as a first aid. And in every house, in every offices, in every home, we are required and a first aid box with that. And the first aid box should be readily accessible in our house. We should know where the first aid box is. It is not that I have got injured and I am looking for where is the first aid box, where is the first aid box. That should not be the case. It should be within our reach and we should know where it is kept. Then first aid should be given quickly without wasting time. You should not get panicked to make the patient calm. One should not get panicked, maybe scolding the patient or scolding the child, why you have done this. You have to maintain calm and take the victim to a safe place. From maybe he has got injured himself in a kitchen, you need to take him to a safe place where he can sit and you can give first aid to that victim. And you need to reassure the patient and disperse the crowd. Normally, when somebody is injured in home or outside, there is a tendency, a lot of people, those who care for that person, come around and inquire, but at that time you should disperse the crowd and you should reassure the patient that the patient will be fine very soon and nothing much has happened, so that the patient stays calm. In case of unconsciousness, do not give any liquids. When sometimes the patient faints or is unconscious, it is advisable and it is necessary not to give liquids, because while you are putting liquid while the patient is sleeping, it might go to some other windpipe and not going to the esophagus and might choke, and it will be a very fatal for the patient. Now, keep emergency helpline numbers handy of ambulance, of doctors, of hospitals or any other emergency numbers, so that fire brigade, fire station, so that in case of emergencies you are in a situation to secure your home and the life of your family members. And you can also call the doctor, which is another important first aid. And after you have given your first aid, please, it should not be that you are giving first aid and later on you are going to call a doctor. While you are doing first aid, somebody should have called the doctor, because till the time your first aid is over, doctor has already reached and further taking care of the patient. Now, what are the materials to be kept in a first aid box? A first aid box should have a gauze, a sterilized gauze, they come in packets, and adhesive bandages of different sizes depending upon what kind of a cuts a patient is going to get, and a crepe bandage in case of sprains. Thermometer needs to be there, torch and new batteries, so that sometimes the injury is internal and you need to focus, so you need to have torches, and scissors, Antiseptic lotion, which is very important, we have understood in the previous slides also. For the injuries, for the cuts, we need to clean the wounds with antiseptics, sterile cotton, burn relief ointment, adhesive tape, and other medicines like antibiotics, pain reliever, antacids can also be kept in a first aid box, but not too many detailed medicines, because medicines have always to be taken under a medical supervision. Safety first is a very important aspect in our lives. It is our right, it is our important need which we cannot sacrifice, because by sacrificing unsafe homes, we are going to sacrifice our life, which is very precious. Hope you have understood the chapter well. Thank you.